I really believe we don't go through anything for nothing. And again, this was just a recent thought that I had, and which is, I sit back and think about things, just
Yeah.
give myself thinking time, which is healthy for me. It's healthy
Mm.
for everyone, to be honest. If we
Yes.
give ourselves this time to just sit back, no TV, honestly, phones face down on silence,
Yeah.
you know, just no distraction. Give yourself 5 minutes to think. And I was recently doing that and just was thinking, like, man, all we weren't put here as a people to make all the bad stuff good,
Mm.
right? The bad stuff was put here to make us better.
Mm.
It was put here to refine us. We need to embrace so much of this bad stuff instead of always trying to correct it because we're
Mm-hmm.
missing out on the purpose of this quote unquote bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone's religious, realize that the bad stuff is allowed. Why is it allowed? So that we can have faith in whoever we believe in to
Mm-hmm.
carry us through.
Welcome to I Think I Can podcast. My name is Luella Young. I am a woman who believes that we, like wine, get better with age. Age brings us wisdom, intuition, and a level of sophistication that is beyond the reach of youth. I am here to tell you that living a luxuriously rich and fulfilling life is in your reach. I Think I Can podcast will teach you to think differently in order to get different results. Allow me to show you how to do life effortlessly. This podcast is for the woman who is tired of playing by the rules of society, community, religion, parents, and partners. I Think I Can is all about becoming brave, authentic, purposeful, and strong. Listen weekly, and you will find yourself living a life you could have only once dreamed of. Thoughts drive our physiology, so channel your thoughts with me into a life truly worth living. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to I Think I Can. So today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Joel Green. And Joel is a motivational speaker who has used mindset to leverage his power. After retiring from his career as a professional basketball player, Joel founded Pro Level Training, PLT, which has become a seven-figure company. Amazing. In addition to running PLT, Joel is also the national director for Nike Sports Camps. So, with a strong ambition to inspire others, he has developed a reputation for personal excellence and motivational talks on attaining desired goals. So, of course, this has really attracted me to have Joel on the show because as you guys know, I'm all about mindset. So before we get on with the interview, I do want to congratulate you, Joel, for publishing your first book, and it's called Filtering: The Way to Extract Strength from the Struggle. And what a great title. And I'm very interested in the word filtering. And maybe we can start there, Joel.
Mm.
Why? Oh, and the book just released in September 6th. Is that
Yep,
correct?
September 6th.
Okay, wonderful of this year. So it's hot, you know, hot off the printers, guys. But filtering, what do you mean by filtering?
Filtering is just, a process of breaking things down. In this regard, emotionally, right? So just
Mm,
breaking down your circumstances. Um, it's funny, not putting your emotions in the forefront. So just doing your best to actually put your emotions aside so that you can see things a bit more clearly. I feel that emotions, when things are heightened,
yeah.
it clouds our judgment, of what we're going through when we're going through it. Obviously
Mm,
hindsight kind of the dust is settled, it's not as clouded. Hindsight, everything's 2020.
right.
We see things clearly, but with the filtering method that I developed, it helps us to see things a bit more clearly at the moment,
Okay.
while we're going through it. instead of waiting on hindsight, we can actually begin developing foresight and even see these things possibly coming down the pike the next time around. So filtering is a process of just breaking things down, questioning and leaning into what you're going
Mm.
through, as opposed to leaning away from it and trying to deny it just because it's painful or it hurts and just trying to ignore it. No, we want to do the opposite of that, actually lean into it. So many times you realize that those very same things will cancel themselves out when you lean into them. They won't be able to affect you anymore.
Okay, so I think what you're speaking towards, and my next question is going to be, tell us your story. But I think what you're speaking towards is when you got those voices in your head saying, run in the other direction, right? Like this is
Mm-hmm.
this is way too scary. Run in the other direction. You're like, wait a minute. I think I might challenge you and I
Mm-hmm.
might lean into it. Is
Yeah.
that what you're sort of saying?
Absolutely. It's a daring thing to do.
Yeah.
It's again, when something hurts, why do you want to go toward it? It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
that scary movie. You may be yelling at the screen, and there's a sound, a scary sound in the distance, and they walk toward it. Like, what in the world are they doing? Why would you
Right.
walk toward the sound? This makes no sense whatsoever. You know,
Yeah.
but it's just, you kind of want to have that mentality of, okay, I want to resolve this, as opposed to having this thing haunt me and continually revolve itself around my life and my
Yeah.
mind, to be a burden to where I never get over it because I never confronted it.
Yeah.
So you want to have that mentality of saying, okay, here's what I'm going through. Number one, accept it. And it's a tough thing to do. I
Yeah.
fought with acceptance so much, and I discuss it in the book. But we have to just have these moments of what I call my AA time. If I fail, I call it my time to, assess and adjust. So I just
Yeah.
assess, and you can mix in acceptance in there too. But as I'm assessing the situation, I'm filtering, I'm breaking things down to really see what it's about,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, okay, instead of just running from it, what adjustments can I make to help correct what was incorrect or what was imperfect? And you just, even within yourself, you become less insecure because now you are working toward progressing the issue, as
Right.
opposed to just denying it, or honestly lying to yourself about it, running from it, and just
Yeah.
hiding from it, and or trying to hide it. And so just confronting things by breaking it down and making it more manageable for yourself to handle, so that it's not so overwhelming. It's a very helpful tool that you can go about that would give you so much peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So how did this all how did this all come together? And you know, I'm just going to let my audience know that Joel also put out this trailer for his book, and we'll link it in the show notes. But I would encourage you to watch it because it's like a trailer to a movie, and I've never seen this before in terms of a book release, and it's really wonderful. Like I have a pretty good idea of what your struggle is based
Mhm.
on the trailer that I watched. But tell me more about the whole beginnings of this.
Well, you'll even as you've seen in the trailer, but I grew up in Philadelphia in an abandoned house, and that was, the beginning. That's my origin. As far as just humility, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
That I was humbled from the start. I was born into a very humble setting. The environment wasn't the best, even outside of our home. Um,
Hmm.
you know, we lived next door to another abandoned house that previously caught on fire, and it just stayed in that condition my entire childhood there. And outside of that, this was during the crack era of the late 80s, early 90s. And
Hmm.
I would walk outside on a daily, every day, literally, see empty crack houses laying around on the street, with these colorful caps. And I didn't know what they were until somebody told me, oh, those were drugs in there, man. You put those down. And that was it. Going to sleep some nights to gunshots in the distance and hearing people argue outside the house. It was just like, that was my life.
Yeah.
I was 10 feet away from a shooting when I was 6 years old. I'll
Jeez.
never ever forget it. It was traumatizing. It was scary thinking that I would be shot. It was nobody else there outside of the kid that I saw get shot and myself, and the two shooters that were there. So going
Mm.
through things like that so early in life,
Mm.
It kept me in a place, I'll be honest. Unfortunately, this is where my mind and my heart went. It kept me in a place of gratefulness. I was grateful to still be. I'm grateful to be here, right? Like
Mhm.
I've taken on that side of things as opposed to taking this anger, this fear out on others. I did go through that. I'm not going to sit here and sound perfect.
Mhm.
You know, as a child, before I got into organized basketball, you know, I would get in fights. I thought that was what I was supposed to do, you know, because that's I was reflecting my environment. Just okay,
Mhm.
someone messes
Yeah.
with you or someone does something to you, you're supposed to go back at them and you know and beat them up, you know, something like that. And just I was a product of my environment, and you know, I had to realize no, my environment is a product of me.
Yeah.
And the moment I began to take that attitude on, my mentality changed. I began to hold myself more accountable for my actions and what came by way of my hands. And, you know, I just began to make more things happen, you know, in a progressive manner and still dealing with life. You know, even at 9 years old, I had a knife pulled out on me. They called the N word because I was quote unquote in the wrong neighborhood. And, you know, and just, you
Wow.
know, I lost my older brother as a teenager. Just, I had to just figure things out in life to where I said, okay, I know these are things that people go through later in life. I went through them pretty early.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with death and racism and things like that. It was even when I was 7 years old, I dealt with racism too. You know, it just a guy told his pit bulls to get me and it said sick him, me and my brother. We were at the park. He didn't know us, we didn't know him. We could tell he didn't like us, and all of a sudden he's like, Alicia's go and said sick him. And just made them chase us until we scaled a fence and just stayed at the top.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so just, you know, I
Yeah.
saw a glimpse of life early on to
Yeah.
where I knew how real it was. I wasn't ignorant to
Mhm.
what this place called Earth, you know, and this world
Yeah.
looked like.
Yeah.
Um, and it helped prepare me. It gave me
Mhm.
wisdom at a young age, I'll be honest with you,
Mhm.
because I was prepared. And my parents did an amazing job of preparing me and you know, my three other
Mhm.
siblings. It was a house of six growing up, you know, in this setting. So they looked out for me. I was the youngest of four. And we just had to, you know, level up pretty early, just gain some wisdom early in life. And they helped instill that in us.
What what else how about like in terms of any sort of religious doctrine or spirituality? You know, was that a tool for you at all?
Oh, in a major way. My parents are actually ministers.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so
Okay.
that's the setting I grew up in. And talk about just instilling something, they instilled faith in us, you know, and they helped
Mhm.
us to see that there was something much, much greater than where we are right now.
Right.
And they helped give us a vision. That was like the best thing. They helped give us
Yeah.
a vision. We had, you know, family meetings each
Mm.
week. We had, you know, it's where we would sit down, we would open up with prayer,
Mhm.
and we had to each give our own testimony about something. So I'm me just being a little kid, I'm probably just talking about how thankful I am for my friends or something at school, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
we had to give just so that we can be grateful for things, for life. So we had to give our testimony. We would then watch some type of documentary, you know, Eye on the Prize or something. And then we
Yeah.
would talk about it afterward. And
Yeah.
so they helped us instill again vision in us. They helped us to see reality for what it truly was. We
Yeah.
would see how things were in the 50s and 60s, and they would tell us like, "Hey, here's what happened," you know, with us, and they just
Mhm.
wanted us to be aware.
Yeah.
And it really, really helped, and still helps to
Mm.
this day because I'm not foolish in regards to what life is,
Yeah.
and you know, I found it out
Yeah.
early.
Yeah. Very wise at a young age. Yeah, very mature in your mindset by a young age. Okay. So so you know, by 10 years old, like you're saying like you're basically a young adult. And so
Yeah.
that so what happens after that? Graduate from high school and
Yeah, so you know, I began playing organized basketball around that age, around 9 years old or
mm,
so, and that just really changed the whole trajectory, you know,
yeah.
for me because it took me out of my environment periodically, which was great.
Mhm.
That's what I needed. You know, I
Mhm.
needed that distraction, and
Mhm.
it gave me an outlet to release the anger that I had. I had a bad attitude at times, as a little kid, before that point. But
I'm
basketball, it changed me, and
yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because how can you not be angry?
mm,
When you see, well, I mean, I don't know the circumstance of your the death of your brother, but I mean, someone, people pulling
yeah,
knives at you, people telling their dogs, to run after you,
yeah,
people like another child shot 10 feet
mm,
away from you. I mean, how can you not be angry, right?
yeah. I mean, it's when you put it like that. I mean, it just was, it was a natural
Hmm.
response.
Hmm.
Again, I thought that was kind of how I had to be.
Hmm.
Just being honest with you, I wasn't a bad kid.
No.
I was, people loved me. I was a nice kid, but I was on edge.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
knew that if something happened, I was ready. I was on my toes, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But outside of that, very friendly kid, loved to have fun. I played all the time, but it just was, I'll be honest, there was a tenseness about me.
For
Um,
sure.
that just like, okay, I'm ready to either run or I'm ready to fight. I'm ready for
Yeah.
one of these two options to happen right now. I'm
Hmm.
ready to survive.
Yeah.
And I had that mentality, and I had that mentality in the house when I would be fighting my brothers as well. That
Yeah.
those things just toughened me up, and I just was always just on my toes. So it was, again, I feel like it was a natural response to my environment, which is unfortunate because I mean, so many that grows up in that environment has that natural response to they're always ready to fight, or that's not a good thing, but
Well,
it's about survival so many times.
yeah, it's funny. Like in my mind, as you were talking, I'm thinking, compare this to like the white, more or less privileged farm boy, walking down like the country road on his way to school, right? Looking at butterflies and listening
Mhm.
to the birds. Um, but I think, yeah, like, I mean, but you're always watching your back. You're always, tense and on survival mode. But then I think what you're saying, and correct me if you're wrong, is that you took that on the basketball court and used that to your advantage in a way.
Exactly. I mean, that's the filtering process right there. I mean, filtering again is not just helping you to get over. It's not just about helping you to get over things, but it's about helping you to use those things to help propel you to the other side of what you're going through. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point. It's you want to go and again be able to extract strength from that struggling point. You want to be able to say, okay, what can I use within what I'm going through as fuel? What can literally propel me through this thing and get me to the other side? And for me, it was the anger. I began leaning into my anger, which was the best thing in the world. And anger isn't a bad thing. It's a natural emotion. It just has to be properly channeled. Sadness isn't a bad thing. It's a natural emotion. Just have to properly channel it. Happiness, we all know it's not a bad thing, but even that has to be properly channeled. Because that can lead to complacency and just other things to where,
True.
it's just like happiness isn't. I filter everything. I filter my happiness because I don't want to rest on my laurels because of something that made me happy. I want to continually to be happy. So whatever it made me happy, I want it to happen again and again and again. But
Yeah.
so many times we rest on our laurels from being happy to where that thing just kind of subsides and it stops. It doesn't keep recur.
Right.
So I filter everything to try to take something from everything that I go through, good or bad, to say, okay, what can I draw from this to have this happen again on the good side, or to not have this happen again on the bad side, and also what can help me, you know, push through this thing. If I can
Yeah.
use something against itself, I'm going to do it. It usually cancels itself out. So just try to break everything down. And again, basketball, like you mentioned, that's when I got on the court. It was a great vehicle for me to do that.
Yeah, no, excellent. Excellent point about, I think you're sort of saying, don't distract yourself from those emotions, which many people want to, like those low energy emotions such as anger and
Mm-hmm.
fear. It's sort of like, no, okay, yeah, this is happening to me. What do I want instead? And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sit with it for a little while and
Yeah.
feel it. Like you say,
Yeah.
channel it through you, but
Yeah.
then move on.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that moving on is the biggest part. It's like you just have to take what you need from it, because
Mm-hmm.
there's something for us in everything, like everything. We
Mm-hmm.
don't go. I really believe we don't go through anything for nothing. Like
Mm.
and again, this was just a recent thought that I had, and which is, I sit back and think about things, just
Yeah.
give myself thinking time, which is healthy for me. It's healthy
Mm-hmm.
for everyone, to be honest. If we
Yes.
give ourselves this time to just sit back, no TV, honestly, phones face down on silence,
Yeah.
you know, just no distraction. Give yourself 5 minutes to think. And I was recently doing that and just was thinking, like, man, all we weren't put here as a people to make all the bad stuff good,
Mm.
right? The bad stuff was put here to make us better.
Mm.
It was put here to refine us. We need
Mm-hmm.
to embrace so much of this bad stuff instead of always trying to correct it, because we're
Mm-hmm.
missing out on the purpose of this quote unquote bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone's religious, realize that the bad stuff is allowed. Why is it allowed? So that we can have faith in whoever we believe in to
Mm-hmm.
carry us through. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about removing all this bad stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so me just thinking about life and thinking about these things, like, I need to stop. I'm not one to complain much at all, but I feel if people can just realize things from that perspective, they would complain less, because they'll realize, okay, let me actually see how this bad thing, quote unquote, can help me out. Let
Yeah.
me let me carry an objective point of view and see if this thing is for me or against me.
Yeah. 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 If it's being delivered through you, it's for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't run away from it, right? Like it's sort of like
Exactly.
this experience is here now. So yeah, what can I gain from it? It was sent to me for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and that's what we, again, our emotions, whew, they get in the way of seeing that so often. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, why is this going on? Why is this happening
Mm-hmm.
to me? And we
Mm-hmm.
miss out because we're so focused on the problem as opposed to, like, and I get it. Again, we're human. We're
Yeah.
human. And again, they're natural reactions. However, I truly believe we can change our default reactions. It takes training, it takes
Yeah.
practice, it takes having some type of tool in place or protocol in place. But again, that's why I wrote the book. I saw what it did for me. I began really developing the tool itself and labeling it as filtering back in 2014. I began speaking it from the stage, and I saw the impact that it had from the stage, to where I said, okay, I have to put this in print because I see what it's doing for me, what it's done for me, over time. And I practiced it,
Yeah.
before I began truly writing it. And I said, I have to put this out there. It's a shift in your perspective. It's a leaning in process. And it just really it helps resolve things, and helps you to feel good during the process of
Hmm.
things, as opposed to trying to feel good at the end, like, well, yeah, when I get over this, I can't wait, I'm gonna feel amazing. No, you don't have to say when you get over this you're gonna feel
Right.
amazing. You can feel amazing right now. And that's what I desire for people.
So why don't you give us an example in like your growth that you realized that you had to lean into it rather than away.
Well, in recent years, I went through a divorce,
Mm,
and it was something that I fought against. I didn't want it to happen. And, my father, at the time, he was, initially when he began looming his ugly head, he was around a year and a half, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to have my son not have both of his parents. I'm just fighting for it from so many different angles, for
mhm,
myself, for her, for
mhm.
my son. And it just was like, oh, man, how am I going to get through this? I began questioning so many things, questioning life, and just saying, how is this going to work out on the other side? I don't see it. I know it will. My
Yeah.
faith was still there, but I'm like, how? What? And
Yeah.
what do I do to be able to help myself get through this thing?
Mhm.
Right. So I had to realize, all right, I have to figure some things. I have all these questions, and I just needed answers to. So I just began reading. I just began researching. I began reading 9 books every 3 weeks during this time. And I was just like, just hungry and thirsty for wisdom, for knowledge, for answers. I just needed answers.
Books on what,
So
Joel? Books
doing
on what?
this, mhm.
What type of books?
A ton of self-help books at the time. I mean, that's when I read my favorite book now, outside of the Bible. My favorite book is As a Man Thinketh,
Mm.
by James Allen, written in 1903. I
Mm-hmm.
love books that were written back then because there's no fluff. There's no go to my website. There's no,
Right.
follow me. It's just
Yeah.
none of it's straight to the point, and it was convicting. And that's what I needed because I was pitying myself in a major,
Mm.
major way while I was asking these questions and like, man, why me? And,
Mm.
why my family? There's a whole lot of self pity going on with this questioning. And it convicted me. It's like, nope, you're not living up to who you ought to be. Love
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Don't be insecure about yourself. Don't start questioning your heart when you know it's in a good place,
Yeah.
and it's still work on it though. Still work on your heart, develop it,
Mm-hmm.
refine yourself. And that's what I began doing. And I just really began saying, okay, how can I use what I'm going through right now, the struggle? How can I actually use it to cancel itself out? It's like, two
Yeah.
negatives equal positive, right?
Right. Right.
It's I had to look at it that way. And it just began working for me to where I began find again the anger, the sadness that I had. I began extracting the energy that I had from the anger. So, like when we angry, we yell, we scream, we do all these
Right.
things. It's a whole lot of energy that we have within that anger.
Yeah.
When we're sad, we sob, we cry ourselves to sleep. There's a whole lot of energy that is within that sadness. So I began drawing out the energy. Like
Mm.
Luella, it was amazing. All the energy, I just began applying it towards, business, fatherhood, business, fatherhood. It was just like I
Yeah.
became even better father. I became, you
Mm.
know, business took off, and
Yeah.
I just became an overall better individual. I learned who I was more during this
Yeah.
time as well, and just found out a way to use the unideal side of life against itself, and it really it was a blessing.
Yeah. So I think you're saying rather than channeling that energy inside in like, and towards your self-pity, and your victims, kind of mindset, you propelled it outside in terms of your business, being a
Hmm.
father, like you say. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, and that's what it was about for me. It was, literally shifting my perspective. Again,
Yeah.
when it comes to the mind, and that was
Yeah.
it was my focus. My focus was it was off. It was off,
Mm. Mm.
and it just
Mm.
needed to be shifted.
Mm-hmm. So you got through it. You
Exactly.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had to, and that's the thing I told myself was that I had to. That's
Yeah.
what really helped me out. I had no other option.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I've written about. It's in the book to where I give myself I call it a now method. No other way.
Mm.
There's no I must get through this. Like if I give myself an out, then I'm probably going to take that out because that's that way probably feels the best. It's
Well,
probably the most convenient.
yeah, it's human nature, I think. If
Exactly.
there's an
Exactly.
out, like,
Exactly.
yeah, and I think that also speaks towards, your childhood too. I mean, you're, you know, constantly scanning the environment, like, what fence can I jump over, or what,
Right.
back lane can I run down here? There's got to be an out. There's got to be a way
Amazing.
out.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So really building new neuronal pathways is what you're talking about,
Mm.
not going down the path of least resistance, but going down the less trodden path. And that's
Exactly.
always so hard. Like you say, it's human nature. We just don't want to go there. And, sometimes I think people say, why is it that so many people have to, hit rock bottom in order to, like, I mean, that's so many success stories, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
really, including yourself, like sort of rags to riches. Like, why do we have to hit rock bottom with addictions, or I think of that with health all the time too. Like, why do people have to wait for the diagnosis
Yeah.
before
Exactly.
making lifestyle changes and diet
Exactly.
and exercise? It's just sort of like, but yeah, it's like, if we can start doing that now,
Mhm.
like acting like there's no other option. Like there's
Right.
no other option. I'm either gonna like freeze or fry, right? I'm either gonna like step into the forward or stepping back, backwards into safety. Like yeah.
It's
So,
amazing.
mhm.
I
So
mean, it's yeah. I mean, it was it Snickers that says why wait. You know, it's
yeah. Well,
I have the same approach. It's
yeah. Yeah. Those
mhm.
slogans, well, on Nike, I think has, the best one ever.
Exactly. Just do
Yeah.
it. All right.
Just freaking do it. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So why don't you speak about that? Like okay, so you started to excel in basketball and people were starting to notice you. Was this in high school or and then what?
Yes, I mean in high school I began being recruited by colleges and became a Division I basketball player by way of that. And just had a serious journey throughout college and ended up going to 4 different colleges because the NCAA said I had to do something called a 4-2-4 transfer because I was looking to transfer out of my initial school after I got hurt. And it was the process, but it was a wonderful one in the end. I ended up winning 2 national championships
Wow.
uh, and then a third conference championship when I went back to Division I. So it was a journey that I would not try to correct whatsoever. It was one heck of a journey.
Mhm.
Then went professionally after that and played professionally for a little bit and got some recognition around the world, which was awesome. And it was
Mhm.
fun to experience different cultures. And
Mhm.
once I decided to leave that, go into business, I got connected with Nike sports camps. And
Mhm.
that at this point was over a decade ago. And
Mm.
I'm now a national director for Nike sports camps, in addition to, being the CEO of my company. So it's been such an amazing time and process. And now working with youth, man,
Mm.
it's nothing like it. Like Luella, it's so fulfilling. It's a whole nother level of fulfillment that I did
Mm.
not realize I would be that into. But
Mm.
it's it's amazing. Like just just the smiles of the kids and the
Yeah.
parent. I just saw look just before we got on air. I saw on LinkedIn a parent contacted me just thanking me for instilling a mentality into her son over this past summer. He went to 2 of my camps, she said,
Mm.
and it's I love
Wow.
that side of it.
No kidding, because our children are our future. And yeah, I've always said that if we can, model a certain type of mindset to them early on, it's just so powerful, you
Great
know.
time.
Yeah, wow. No, that's a real honor for you to be doing that, to get inside, a child's head at a young age
Yeah.
and be an influencer like that. That's
That's my
amazing.
goal. I'm intentional about it. It's not
Mhm.
just happening. I'm doing my best to make it happen because I just know how
Mm.
important it is. I know, everyone doesn't come from the same environment,
Mm.
same type of household, but everybody still has their own issues, struggles, insecurities, anxieties. So my objective is just to help any and every single person that I'm crossing paths with to say, okay, this dude made a difference in me, in my mindset. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I was a part of his program. I'm going to remember one quote or something that he said,
right.
hopefully, and it did something for me. And that's
Yeah.
my objective. I'm intentional about it because I want that to happen. I desire for that to happen to people.
Well, how would you define living life intentionally? Because you're speaking towards something there that I think is really really important that a lot of people don't recognize. Like to live in life intentionally. What does that mean to you?
All right. The thing I would say I love most about living life intentionally is I have more control over my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that when I'm not intentional about things unintentionally happen,
Mm-hmm.
which means I'm now not controlling my own life as I would like to. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about me being type A and things like that. I'm not, but I want control over my life. You know what I mean? This is my
Mm-hmm.
life. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I do that? Okay, write down what I want to do, write down things, objectives that I want to occur, and go about things in that manner. That's just living with intent. now knowing, okay, between these hours, here's what I'll be doing. If I'm telling myself that now during those hours, I'm not just allowing life to be carrying me over here, here, and here, and here. No, I know where I'm going to be. I know what I'm going to be doing. I know
Yeah.
early in the morning I'm going to be doing this, that part of my routine, that part of my routine,
Mhm.
and not that I'm so regimented to where life is boring. No, I'm just
No.
intentional about the structure
Yes.
I'm setting for my life, so that again these unimportant distractions doesn't
Yeah.
control my life. So
Yeah.
I'm just very intentional, and that's the most beautiful side of living with
Mhm.
intent, is that you actually begin to control what happens in your life more often than not. Life still happens, of course,
Mhm.
that you may not see coming, but at least you're controlling what you can control.
Right. I think you're like what you're saying then is sort of you are the product of like your thoughts are really um your reality is a product of your thoughts, right?
Exactly.
Your intentions. Yeah.
Exactly.
So when did you really discover that? Like was it through the divorce process that you were speaking about, or was it prior to that with sports psychology? Like where did you really learn about the mind and its power?
I began learning that in college
Yeah.
more often than not. And when I began majoring in psychology,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's funny
Okay.
you mentioned sports psychology. It was my freshman year of college. I had a sports psychology course, and it gave me the opportunity to apply what I
Mhm.
was learning. I'm talking about in real time, because
Mhm.
I was an athlete at the time. So I'm like,
Mhm.
let me try this in practice later. We will go over things like visualization. We will go
Mhm.
over, just these different things, even just, mantras. We would go
Yeah.
over just quotes to tell ourselves before
Yeah.
competition, all these things,
Yeah.
imagery. So I was
Yeah.
able to apply these things and say, whoa, this stuff actually works. Okay. See
Yeah.
yourself making the free throw before it goes in. You can
Yeah.
have practice in your bed because you're just having
Yeah.
you're practicing your imagery, your visualization, and these
Yeah.
different techniques I was learning. I'm like, whoa, this is pretty
Yeah.
crazy. I can sit still and still develop, still
Right.
make progress.
Yeah.
And it changed things for me when I realized that. It was like, wow, using my mind alone,
Mhm.
whew,
Mhm.
man, it was life changing. So I began realizing it in college. And I would say post career, even professionally, I really got a chance to apply it in, I'll say it as the real world, in the real world,
Mhm.
outside of sports, and definitely going through the early separations before the divorce and things like that.
Mhm.
I really learned how to use my mind, and I learned even more about them. I began reading again so many books, and
Yeah.
even a couple years ago during the pandemic, the first stages of the
Oh.
pandemic, I gave myself a challenge to read 30 books in 30 weeks. And
Oof.
so I read 31 in 29 weeks. I was able to exceed, and
Oh.
overachieve a little bit.
Wow.
Um, and just reading about the mind and all these different things, it just really helped increase my ability to utilize my own, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's been I love I love what our minds can do.
Yeah.
We're so interesting, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It really is. And you must and how old is your son?
He's 9 years old.
Okay, so to see it, wow. Like first of all, you just saying that age just makes me think, oh my gosh, like when you compare your life at 9, probably you
Right.
just
It's I had the same thought before too. When he was 6, I was like, man, I do not see him.
oh,
I wouldn't want to see him in the situation when I was at 6 years old, running away from what I had to run away from, and the survival mode that I was in.
yeah.
At 5, getting different fights on the street and stuff like that. I thank God that again, he's my why. So
Yeah.
he's the main reason why I go as hard as I do, why I focus as much as I do, why
Yeah.
I discipline myself as much as I do.
Yeah.
Because I do not want him being anywhere near that that level of the angst and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that
Mm-hmm.
mode of survival that I was in. Did it develop me? Sure.
Yeah,
But I feel like it developed me so that I can be a vessel to help develop others in other ways.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's hard to imagine.
And so then you can't help but look at the strength of your parents, knowing that your parents had to witness, what you went through. They would have wanted it to be easier for you,
Mhm.
like a better life, right? But
Right.
they managed to keep the faith and the trust, that life will get better and you will be okay, right? That's so
Yeah, I mean,
powerful.
again, I give them even more credit than that because it was four of us, right? Like, and I'm
Yeah.
only telling you my
Oh,
story. I
yeah.
have two brothers and my sister that were going through the same stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? My brother was there when the guy said sick him as far as he told the two pit bulls to chase us. It was me and one of my other brothers, and you
Yeah.
know, both my brothers they've been shot at multiple times, and things like that, and just it's yeah, my sister when she was younger in school had her chain snatched and just stuff like just different things. It just
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we were all going through our own things, and yeah, like you said, for my parents to have to keep it all together, it's
Yeah.
like man. So I give them
Yeah.
a whole lot of props, a whole lot of love. I mean, just I feel it's hard to even explain how much I respect that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is your family close with you right
Oh,
now? Like,
very, very, yeah, we're
okay.
very, very tight knit,
Yeah.
very close. Mhm.
Wonderful. Okay. So, how about like, okay, so how are you managing, the demands, let's say, of the company and all your all your energy surrounding that and being a parent, like what's how do you prioritize and balance and
Well, I mean, I would say, fortunately, what my company is founded upon is sports, right? And my son,
Mhm.
he's an athlete. He loves sports.
Of
He's a
course.
basketball player. He's a basketball head, but he loves soccer. He loves baseball, football. He just loves sports. He's an athlete. So,
Yeah.
I'm able to tie that in to being a parent,
Mhm.
being a father. So if I'm on site at one of our camps, he's there,
Yeah.
right? He's a part of the camp, or he's
Great.
helping out with the camps. He
Yeah.
helped out this past summer. He was old enough to help out with and coach and be like a junior assistant at one of
Yeah.
our younger kids camps for ages 5 to 7. He was
Yeah.
actually like a junior assistant coach for it. So he's able to be where I am
Yeah.
um, in business, which helps a
Yeah.
lot. He gives me suggestions because I ask him, he's a kid. So it's the
Yeah.
same way you may have a focus group to where if it's like a cereal company, they'll test out the cereal on these groups of kids and on the
Oh,
back
yeah.
office. Say, what do you guys think? You like it or is it disgusting?
Mm.
I do the same thing with my son. What do you think this? You think this would be cool at camp or no? You think this would be cool when we put this on? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if I
Mm.
like it. And I take that serious because
Yeah.
that he's the market. He's my market, right? So
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
try to incorporate him into what I do because it keeps us
Mhm.
closer together. It develops our bond. He thinks it's cool that he gets to talk business stuff, and
Yeah.
I think it's cool that he gets to talk business stuff
Yeah.
because it's developing his mindset toward business. I'm intentional about that. Like,
Yeah.
well, like with him, we go over quotes each morning.
Wow.
He has to read the quote and tell me about it so I can work on reading and comprehension with him. I want to see how he
Mm.
processes these quotes and things like that. So I love discussing business, just other things with him. So it keeps us together to
No
where I don't
kidding.
like to separate too much of what I'm going or what I'm working on from parenthood. I try
Yeah.
to as best as I can to see how I can tie it in.
Mhm. No, that's wonderful. So what's sort of your morning routine and evening routine and that sort of keeps you in line and intentional? I mean, I know everyone's different, but like, you know,
Yeah, my most ideal routine, and I do my best to stick to it.
yeah.
Waking up around 5 in the morning or just after, no later than 5:15 or so. If I can do before 5, I love that. So it depends on what time I went to sleep the night before, but no matter what, I still try to stick to that 5 o'clock time frame. I wake up, I pray, just meditate for about a good 20 or so minutes.
Mhm.
And I read the Bible during the time or listen to the Bible, depending on just the flow of the morning. But
Mhm.
that first 20, 25 minutes is all dedicated to that. Just,
Yeah.
me, God time. That's just what
Yeah.
it is. And after that, I eat a small little snack of a breakfast.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. And
Yeah.
then I work out right after that.
Yeah.
And I eat just enough to nourish myself, have some energy, and I work out. After I'm done working out, I make an actual breakfast. I wake my son up, and we eat breakfast together. And depending on the morning, I may even work him out a little bit. He
Right.
prefers to work out in the morning sometimes instead of after school, so we can just hang out and have fun. But that's my routine.
Wow. Wow.
Wake up, I have my prayer, meditation time. I work out. The training, that workout part is so big for me
Mm.
because it gives me that achievement feeling, yeah, that
Yeah.
fulfillment that I'm like, whoa, I just did a lot. It's not even 7 o'clock yet, man. I just did, and it's just
Yeah.
I feel so great about
Yeah.
the rest of my day. I know I just did a whole day's worth of work.
Right.
It's not even 7 o'clock, so
Yeah.
it's just
It's
about fulfillment for me. That's what I pursue more than anything else.
yeah, like it builds that foundation. And
Hmm.
from being a pro athlete like that, can I ask you what your workout would be? Because, it was probably insane back in
Yeah.
the day. So how have you condensed it now to give you
Yeah.
that sort of fulfillment?
So then, I mean, I had two or three trainers. I had my performance, the strength coach. I had my on court, trainer, my skills trainer. We would, and I had my coaches, obviously, my basketball coaches who would also train and me in
Hmm.
practice and stuff like that. But my days would start around 4:15, 4:30, at the
God.
time. And I would go eat. This is literally my routine. I would have a piece of toast and some orange juice
Yeah.
while I would watch some type of motivational video on YouTube for like 4 or 5 minutes while I was eating. Then I would go to the track. I'll go into the track, and I'll be at the track by 5:15 or so. I'll be
What
there by that
doing
time.
sprints? What are you doing?
Yeah, sprints, just laps if I needed to. I prefer to do sprints, as
Yeah.
so it can be basketball specific.
Yeah.
But I would still run my miles at the same time, and just be there for no more than like 45 minutes. Kind of get in, get out on the track, and
Yeah.
I would be back home by 6:15.
Jeez.
And by that time, that's when I would eat a huge breakfast. Though after I
Yeah.
got back home, I would eat a breakfast of about 2,000 calories,
Wow.
and just to yeah, and I had to because I just exerted quite a bit, but I knew I
Yeah.
also had two other workouts coming up. So,
God.
by that time I would eat a huge breakfast. And obviously when you eat a huge meal, you get a little sleepy, right?
Yeah.
So I would allow myself just to relax for a couple hours and just
Yeah.
if I end up falling back asleep, I was cool with it.
Yeah.
And I would have my strength and performance workout right around like 10 o'clock, around that time frame. And I would meet with him for about 90 minutes. We would be on the weights, we would hit the pool. He would have like a huge rubber band around my waist. I would have to run against the current and things like that. Put weight vests on me sometimes in the pool to weigh me down even more. It was,
Oh
in
my
my
God.
opinion, a lot of cool things that we would do. And after that workout was done, I went and had some lunch, have an early lunch around maybe like 11:30 or so, and um, I would just relax in the car. I never forget. I would relax in the car. This is around City Line Avenue in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and near St. Joe's University, because my strength performance gym was here, and right up the road was the basketball gym that I would go to with my skills trainer. So I would just take a nap in the car after
Yeah.
my lunch. And, my basketball workout was about an hour and a half to 2 hours after that. And we would be on the court for about 2.5 to 3 hours.
That's
So,
unbelievable.
and that would be done. So, that wouldn't start until around, maybe like one,
Yeah.
something like that. That would be
Yeah.
from like 1 to 3:30ish. A lot of times about 2.5 hours was typical. So by 3:30, I would go home and rest. But a lot of the time during this off-season time period, we had pro-am games. We would have summer league games for pros. So I would have games that started around 7 o'clock at night. So, I would still have to play for another 2 hours.
That is
So at the end of the day, it'll
insane.
be about a 10-hour day.
Yeah. Wow. So how old were you when that was going on?
Uh, I stopped playing pro when I was about 27, I believe.
Wow.
No, 25. Yeah, about 20. I stopped early. I really wanted to go into business. I was getting married at the time. I said, okay,
Yeah.
let me actually give this business thing a shot. I got my business license when I was playing in Europe.
Jeez.
So yeah, but I would say between the ages of 21, 22 up to that time,
Yeah.
about 26.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So,
Look, I loved it though. So
yeah, no,
it
yeah.
was
Like, I
life.
mean,
That was my thing. I loved it.
you would have to.
Yeah.
But, so what do you do now? Like in the morning, like for your
So
40?
now, I try to I love what I used to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what it did for me physically, physiologically. I saw that it made again, that fulfillment factor, it made me feel good about myself. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't just a physical thing. Mentally, I felt great, like, wow, just,
Yeah.
invigorated. So I condensed those things now to where, okay, in the morning, I hit the weights, I do some type of mild cardio to where I just keep myself still feeling good,
Yeah.
jump rope, run on the
Yeah.
treadmill, things like that, or a neighborhood run.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just keep myself in a place of saying, okay, I look good, physically, which makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I'm just being I know how the mind works. And I
Yeah.
know how we perceive things. So for me, I try my best to not only feel good, right? I'm just being honest. I want to also say, okay, I feel like I look good as well. And
Exactly.
that's a
Yeah.
big thing to where I know if you feel good, but you don't feel like you look good, it does something to you. So I'm like, I have to do whatever I can to still be pleased with
Yes.
myself in this facet and in that facet, because I don't want to feel like I'm lacking to when I have control over it. And that's
Right.
not everybody's desire. So, everybody doesn't have to operate that way. But I've become so accustomed as an athlete to
Yeah.
operate that way. I'm
Yeah.
still in that mode.
Yeah.
And, it feels good.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling to just say, okay, I feel good about myself.
Well, for sure. Like I think what you're saying is the exercise, the movement, whatever you want to call it, is it's more for the mind almost
Mhm.
than it is for the body, but the
Absolutely.
body, yeah, but we want to be structurally, you
Mhm.
know, like in like our structural integrity is important too, to have strong bones,
Exactly.
strong muscles,
Exactly.
so I can run after, like, well, and then you're you being a trainer as well, you're still running after these
Exactly.
rugrats. Yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
huge thing for me. And for me, I understand, again, the perception from the client, from the customer, to
yeah.
where if I'm all out of shape and everything,
Well,
right? How are they going to really buy into me?
right,
Like, are they going to say,
right.
oh yeah, I'm going to definitely be a part of his program because he's fat? It's like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's like that
yeah,
doesn't make any
like,
sense.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, I know, okay, if you want to do well in business, because of the industry you're in, make
Hmm.
sure you're also in shape. Make
Yeah.
sure, your physique or build, and not
Hmm.
trust me, not in any arrogant or conceited way, but make
No,
sure your physique is at least, something to where it can be an appeal as opposed to a turnoff for
totally.
someone that you're pursuing to do a business with, for this fitness industry or this training, walk of life. So I'm cognizant of that. I'm aware of I don't want to work with that trainer that's hopelessly out of shape and I see them literally eating danishes in my face. I'm
Yeah,
not going to do that.
yeah, yeah, no, and I just think too, it's sort of like the mind body connection. I mean, like,
Mhm.
your mind is just another muscle, and
Exactly.
like you say, it builds my foundation for my entire day. I think clearer. I'm quicker with my thoughts. I have clarity. I'm able to receive whatever sort of like ideas and inspirations for my business, and downloads, whatever you want to, like the energy channels through me so easily
Mhm.
when my body is healthy. So
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. So
Yeah, it helps so much. It helps that the morning, that workout, a part of my morning routine.
yeah,
It's hard to fully label what it does for me, but I feel it. I
yeah,
can feel the difference that it does for me.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I should probably round it off, but like what are some maybe last thoughts you being a motivational speaker, what's a final message that you might want to leave with the audience?
Well, you know what? Since I mentioned something earlier, it's actually stuck with me throughout the rest of this call. I'm gonna
Okay.
bring it back to light again. You know,
Mm,
what I mentioned about us being here and the reason why we're here, obviously is we're here for multiple reasons. You know, there may be an overall reason, but let's not see all the bad stuff as something that we have to fix. Let's see if it can help fix us in different ways. You know, we have so many voids as a people, you know, as in our humanity. You know, there's so many imperfections, which is okay. I don't want to be perfect because I enjoy growth. So I embrace imperfection. I embrace insecurity because that just gives me more areas to grow in. But let's stop seeing all the stuff that we deem as bad in existence as bad totally with no benefit. There's benefit within the bad. So if you can just shift your perspective just a little bit to see like, well, okay, wow, I didn't realize it because I'm only looking at it from my vantage point. Let me step out of my shoes just for a moment to see if I can see this objectively as if this is my friend's situation and not my own. Just doing that alone, guys, I promise you, man, it's life changing. It's mind
yeah,
changing and it's life changing. And so that's realize that so much of the stuff that's here that may annoy us, that may trigger us, is literally here for our good. So much of it.
I love that. I think that's a perfect way to end it. It's seeing it as an opportunity,
Mhm.
rather than uh yeah, a curse, I guess you could
Exactly.
say.
I
Yeah.
have to say this really quick. So since you said that, there's a chapter in my book called Camouflaged Opportunities. So
Mm.
far, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying it's one of their favorite chapters.
Oh, yeah. What a
Yeah.
great title for a chapter.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've been getting, you know, this, I've heard that from multiple people so far. Like, man, that one chapter, Camouflage. I'm like, okay, all right, that's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it on Audible yet?
Yes, it's on Audible. It's so the paperback and the ebook is also on Amazon.
Great.
So yeah, you guys can listen to it, you can download it, you can order it, the
Yeah.
paperback version of it on Amazon and also barnesandnoble.com, whatever platform you prefer. But
Yeah.
again, filtering, the way to extract strength from the struggle. I love feedback. So, you know, if you guys can leave a review, that's my way of seeing what the public thinks. You know,
Totally.
I embrace that and it helps refine what I put out there. So
Well,
hope you guys
I think there's probably many mothers listening to this podcast or this episode as well, and what a great gift for their sons as well. I think
know.
even, I mean, I hate to say it, like Christmas, like,
Yeah,
but
already. You're right. You're
oh
right.
yeah,
You're right.
it's
Already.
yeah, but yeah, I love it. So,
Awesome.
well, thanks so much, Joel, and I wish you all the best. I think you're just beginning from what I can see right now. The best is yet to come from you.
Thank you, Luella. I really appreciate it. Truly.
Okay, take care, and for everyone else, I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.